Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I am your host. I'm so happy to be here. A little gravelly today. I'm not sure why, but whatever. The show will go on. I hope you guys are well. It is the 2nd of June. It's about 11 a.m. Pacific time. We are live. I want to let you know that you can find us over in our chat room by going to 12radio.com. That's number 2radio.com, and clicking on the chat button. You can also find my live stream. I'm live streaming this event through Facebook Live on my fan page, which is Katie Weaver, Domestic Mystic. But I've also shared it into the chat room so you can find it any way you slice it. I want to let you guys know that we're going to be doing a group healing today for our very broken world right now, and we're going to work together on that. We will also, it is Animal Communication Day. It's the first of the month. We have a lot to do today. I will answer your animal questions, absolutely, but that's a far cry from everything we have to do today, so it is what it is, right? I think we can roll with that. Okay. So I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. Again, you can find my live stream or you can listen. However you want to be here is great. I also always post my videos later over on YouTube, and that is Domestic Mystic on YouTube. So you can find me lots of different ways. Okay, well, lots of ground to cover, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of today's show. I do want to let you know that Christy and I have a brand new video, our True Crime Paranormal podcast or video cast, however you choose to watch or listen. You can find that it's True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. You can find it on most of your blogging platforms. You can also find it on YouTube. So I put a link to the YouTube video. It is another video about the Daybell Vallow case, the missing children I've been talking about a lot. So just a lot of movement in that case in the last couple of weeks. So we did an update. And of course, there's always more coming with that case, but with several others as well. So we'll keep working. And if there's ever a case that you guys feel like would be a great fit for us to follow, please send it our way. We really appreciate that and love to hear what you guys have to say and what you'd like to see us doing, you know. The first thing I wanted to do is just check in. I am worried about my friends, my colleagues, people that live in areas that are currently unsafe. And so I'm worried. I'm thinking, you guys are in my hearts. I've lit a lot of candles in the last few days, for sure. So if you guys are in any of my chats here, I'm keeping an eye both on the live stream chat and on the chat in 12 Radio. How are you? You guys doing okay? Do you need anything? How can we support you? You know that I live in a very tiny place that is, I'm grateful for in a lot of ways. We lack diversity in a lot of ways. I was very surprised and excited to see that on Sunday afternoon, we actually had a Black Lives Matter, not a protest, but a vigil in a public park, and 175 people showed up, including the mayor. It looked like most people had masks on and were trying to, social distance the best they could, but they came, and it was peaceful and it was lovely. And in the area I live in an area that is frankly just pretty well known for being very racist. And so for that to happen in a peaceful and lovely way, well, that was pretty big. We had a group on Saturday in the town adjacent to mine, where Christy lives, assemble 30 pickup trucks of men driving around. Most of their trucks were waving American flags, MAGA flags, Confederate flags, and Don't Tread on Me flags. They drove around in a posse of 30, harassing minorities and intimidating people and just otherwise making their presence known. And it upset and bothered a lot of people. I heard from some Hispanic families that they threw things at their cars and shouted at them and terrified them. It happens in my area. Not like in some of yours where there's looting and there's fires and there's a lot of terrifying things. Don't get me wrong. We don't have that here, thank goodness. But at the same time, we certainly know racism in Idaho. I read last night that in Coeur d'Alene, there was a group, this is northern Idaho, there was a group of protesters that were fully surrounded by white supremacists with AK-47s and angry dogs barking. And they were just standing together in solidarity and refusing to break ranks, as were the gun-wielding men that were shouting obscenities at them. I don't know how it ended. I only know the beginning of the story. I certainly hope that nobody was injured. It takes a lot of guts in northern Idaho to form any kind of a protest like that. So my heart is most certainly with them. I know that many of you are living in places where you are under curfew, where you are seeing and hearing frightening things from your buildings. I want you to know that we care, we hear you, we see you. I know that many of you have been out protesting, that you have been on the front lines of some of these actions, trying to get attention. I also know that you're not looters, and I know that you're not vandals, and that that's not what you guys have been up to. You're trying to bring peace. You're trying to bring change. You are trying to bring to America what we need right now. I see you. I honor you. I love you. I'm just looking in the chat. Anna says she is safe and divinely protected. Thank goodness. Kai is safe. Both live in areas that could get a little scary, I think. Here's what we know. We know that there are good and bad in everything. We know that there are many wonderful police officers that are doing their best, that would never in a million years create the racism, the harm, the hurt. We know that we have many families of police officers that are just as terrified for their safety every day because of the same issues we're facing. We know that we're on both sides of this issue in a lot of ways. What we know is that we need peace. What we know is that we need inclusion, that we need to stop treating people differently because of the color of their skin, because of their financial status, because of their past. We need to find a way past that. If everybody could see the soul of the person they're encountering, if they could see the worth of that soul, we'd be in a very different world right now. We're not there yet. I wish we were. We're going to help ourselves get there. We got to be, right? Okay, well, that's what I got. So let's keep on moving. And we are going to do a group healing today. So here a little later in the show, I am going to ask you all to join me in a sacred space of healing so that we can do what we can to lend our light. One thing I do know, I guess I'm not done. One thing I know is that when we are in times of trouble like we are right now, the world needs our light more than ever. And I too have said that my heart hurts and I'm brokenhearted and I'm sad and I'm scared. And it's okay to feel that way. That's okay. But it's also very necessary for us to find that place in us where we are brave, where we are warriors, where we're ready, where we have lots of strength and light to lend to those who need it. And we jump up and we do that. And that's what we have to do right now. You've heard me probably say before, when someone's grieving, don't give them your grief, right? Give them your peace, give them your love, give them your safety. Don't give them the thing they already have. Give them the thing they need. And right now, that's what we have to give the world. And so I know many of us are sad and we're in shock and we're in grief at the state that we have found our country in, at the violence that's happening, at all of it, at the deaths that have happened to people of color. There are so many things to grieve right now and to be afraid about and to be enraged about. I'm not saying don't feel your feelings. You have to. I have to. That's important. But I am saying when we turn to a place of healing, we have to give our best. We have to give our light. We have to give our hope. We have to give our leadership. That's what we're going to give the world. And we'll do that together today. Before we do that, I do want to share a few other things with you. So I'm going to pull up a link here quickly for Luminous. As you know, I do publish a magazine every week with many of my colleagues over at 12 Listen and a few others that aren't 12 family people that bring their light to us as well. You can also find that over on my website. That's katie-weaver.com. And you can find the link for Luminous Magazine. There are a few things I wanted to share before we keep on going. So, really love the cover this week. Those are lavender fields. Aren't they gorgeous? We used to have a little lavender farm not too far from me, and they sold it. And it's not a lavender farm anymore, sadly, but it was beautiful in the summer to go and see and just smell. But I thought this was a really gorgeous picture. Okay. I called the magazine this week the Standing in Solidarity edition because we must. We must stand strong. We must stand together. We must take care of each other. And we certainly must use our collective voices to push for change. We can't be quiet. We can't be complicit. I notice that some of us are a little afraid to speak up. We're afraid to say anything on social media. We're afraid to offend anyone. We're afraid to use our voices. And I understand that to some degree. Actually, I understand that a lot because, to be honest, I have a lot of people in my world that don't feel the same way I do at all. And that's okay. But we do have to find a way to talk to each other. Us versus them isn't working. We have to find a way to find some common ground. We have to find a way to get to peace. One thing I've been seeing a lot of is someone will post something on social media that says Black Lives Matter. And then immediately someone will post All Lives Matter. They don't always understand. And I get it to some degree. They don't understand. For some reason, All Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter triggers people. Here's the thing. No one's saying that all lives don't matter, but we are saying that Black Lives Matter right now needs to be our focus because they are under attack, because the Black Lives Matter movement needs us to care about them, to hear them, and to do better. No one's saying that all lives don't matter. I like the analogy that if in the neighborhood one house is burning, no one's yelling at the firemen to spray down their house because their house matters more than the house is burning, right? People of color's house is burning. That's why Black Lives Matter. That's why Brown Lives Matter. That's why we have to care, we have to listen, and we have to get our egos aside. When people say Black Lives Matter, they're not saying that white people don't matter. They're not saying that all lives don't matter. They are saying we need to put our focus here right now because that's where we are bleeding the most, right? Okay. That's a soapbox for another day, probably, and some of you may not agree with me on that, and that's okay. But what you need to understand is that the phrase all lives matter, all lives matter, has become a rallying cry of those who may be enforcing racism. And while you are not that person and you're not enforcing racism, when you use that phrase as a counterpart or to counteract Black Lives Matter, you are enforcing that ideal, whether you mean to or not. And I know they're just words and I know it's just a phrase, but because it just keeps coming up, I think it's worth that discussion. That's all. Okay. In my musings this week, I shared a few things. My mama was a hippie. She wanted to be. She was only 13 when Woodstock happened. She really wanted to go. She tried to run away. She lived in Las Vegas and she wanted to hitchhike with her friends across country to New York and go. Her parents, they didn't see it that way. They let her be a hippie as much as they could right there in Las Vegas. That's about all they had to offer. I'm sure I would feel the same way about my own 13-year-old. However, I was raised on Woodstock. I was raised on peace protest music. So many times I've said, I think I was born in the wrong era. I think I was supposed to be one of those hippie kids, or maybe not. Maybe that's who I'm supposed to be right here, right now. But this period that we're in got me thinking a lot about the music that my mom used to play in our house all the time on her record player. So I shared 5 of my favorite peace protest songs. Even in listening to them after Luminous published this morning, I realized that there's so many more that I wish I would have included. I might go back and grow the list. If there's a song that you think belongs on this list, send it to me and I'll add it to it. I had put Peace Train by Cat Stevens, Give Peace a Chance by the Plastic Ono Band, Bob Dylan, Times They Are Changing. I should have labeled these. Peter, Paul, and Mary, Blowing in the Wind, and Eve of Destruction. So those were 5 that came up to me initially. But again, if you go through my list and you want to add some songs to it, let me know. Maybe we'll build a Spotify list so that everybody can listen to it without having to tangle with YouTube. It's kind of cumbersome. I realized when I started watching them, it was a little cumbersome. So, but those are songs that are in my heart for sure. Okay, so moving on in Luminous. I have a brand new tip of the week this week that I've never shared before. This is my essential oil blend for hope. Thought maybe we could use it. In a small dropper bottle, combine equal parts. It doesn't have to be an exact science, and you can do a little more or a little less of any of them if that's what your nose wants, but bergamot, grapefruit, and rose geranium. And then swirl those good to blend them and add 5 to 7 drops to your diffuser to encourage feelings of hope and optimism. I think we could all use a little extra hope and optimism these days. So I put that blend together. I also put it together and put it in my own diffuser this morning so that I could enjoy it as well. But those are all oils that are really good. Bergamot is a mood stabilizer. And the geranium, sorry, I'm sidelining myself or distracting myself some way, sorry. Rose geranium is really good for healing your heart. And grapefruit is amazing for lifting your spirits. So I thought the 3 of those in conjunction would be perfect for that blend. If you try it and you love it, let me know. I was thinking that my birthday giveaway show is only a few weeks away. Can you believe it? Every year I do a birthday giveaway show and I give away some of my favorite things. And as soon as June hit yesterday on 1-2 News, I told Scott, it's my birthday month. That means I get to celebrate all month long and do whatever I want. He didn't know what made that different from any other month. But anyway, I'm excited because in 3 weeks' time, it will be my birthday giveaway show. I thought maybe I would put together some of those blends to send out to some of you guys, but we'll see what my heart says at the time. All righty. Well, there's a lot of other good things in Luminous. Of course, we have Tarot Scopes by Chris Ann. We have Christie's Crystal Guidance. We have our weekly tarot forecast by Kat. That's a fairly new entering into Luminous, and it's so awesome. She puts so much work into it and does a great job. So I hope that you can check that out. We have, of course, Anita and the Masters. We have Bitch Scopes for this week from Kelly that are fantastic. I absolutely loved them. You know, she works really hard on her scopes. She does such a good job. They are never a cookie cutter, I'll tell you that. They're always true to form, and she keeps such an eye on the skies. She knows what's going on. And I love them. I can't wait for them to come out every week. Julie wrote a beautiful article about diversity and her own experiences with diversity that I thought was so perfect. And I really hope that you guys get a chance to read it because I thought it was absolutely exactly what it needed to be. We, of course, have our Celestial Wisdom with Jamie Dawn. Caroline's column, What Price Does Prejudice Cost You? Are we seeing a theme this week? I guess all of our hearts are in the same place. Anyway, that's what's going on there. And I do hope that you guys can read Luminous when you have a chance. I always appreciate your feedback and your energy around it as well. And if you love it, share it, please. I appreciate that as well. Okay, taking a little teeny peek in the chat room. Lillian said she was a hippie too. Oh, she said I should send you a photo in a long fringe leather vest. You certainly should. My mom had a jacket that had long, she had a fringe jacket that her stepdad bought her to try to appease her in her hippie ways. And I don't have it. My sister has it. We still have it. We had, we wore it when we were kids, like for Halloween and stuff like that, and it still exists. It's this brown fringed wild jacket. I absolutely love it. It's a very special thing to have that. That was hers. Jacqueline suggested Candles in the Rain by Melanie. Imagine. Oh, yeah. How did Imagine not make my list, right? Linda in my chat today. And Linda, my heart is with you. I hope you know that. She said, Cindy and I were best friends with Mary Ann. That's my mom. I didn't know Linda until, my mom's passing or close to it. And it's been fun to connect on Facebook a little bit. She said they were friends from junior high to high school till she was sent to Idaho when she was 17. She was semi-wild. We listened to all kinds of music. Yep. She wanted to be, right? Thank you, Linda, for that. I always appreciate your memories and your energy here. I love that you're here. Okay. I'm loving it. Okay. Okay. Well, let's keep going. So that's luminous. We'll leave it right there. All right, guys, are we ready to do some work? I think that's probably where we go next. So we're going to, in just a few minutes, do a guided imagery meditation. I'm going to lead you to a place that I've led you many times on this show and on others, to a place where we can meet together, a place where we can do a collective healing. I want you to decide what you want to work on. Do you want to work on peace? Do you want to work on awareness? Do you want to work on safety and protection? Do you want to heal the mother as a whole? Do you want to work on communication? You don't have to do what I tell you to do. You do what feels right to you. I am just the stage manager here. You guys have every right to do what feels right to you within this work. So I don't want to over guide you. So just be ready. Terry, too, had a long fringe jacket with beads. I love it. It's so fun. So I will start it here in just a minute. When we get to that place, to that healing circle, I will give you all some space to do your work. Again, you decide, what are you working on? What do you want to do? What do you feel like the world needs now from you? You don't have to do it all. We can all pick a piece and do our work, right? But if you want to do it all, if you want to be very general, that's okay too. You trust your gut, I'll trust mine. And when we bring our energy together, we will move some mountains together, right? All righty. So let's get started. So close your eyes here with me. Let's take a few deep breaths to get grounded and centered. Good. Now, listen carefully. I would like you to envision yourself walking through a forest, walking along a path. The path leads to an opening, to a meadow, where shortly we will all be gathering. But for now, walking along your path, I am going to count backwards from 10 to 1 as you walk along the path. With every step you take, you will be getting closer and closer to the group. You will be getting deeper and deeper into your spirit with every step you take. You are comfortable and confident about your ability to enter this space, to join with other like-minded souls and spirits, to continue our work and amplify our light together. Starting with 10, walking along the path. 9, 8. Getting deeper and deeper into your spirit with every step you take. 7. It's warm but not hot. The sun is shining above a canopy of trees. 7. 6. You can feel the pine needles crunching under your feet. You can smell moss and sap. You might even hear birds singing happily in the trees. 5. Halfway there now. Very deep in your spirit. 4. Walking forward. You can see the opening in the path now, opening to a meadow. 3. Getting much closer. 2. Almost there. And 1. You are there. Step off of the path now and into the meadow. It's full of longer grasses and wildflowers, and you can see in the center a group gathering. You can see other people emerging from the forest, coming together. This is a place of love. This is a place of peace. This is a place of unconditional acceptance, a gathering of souls. Walk forward now and join the group. You are welcome and wanted here. You are heard and seen. You are needed. You may see some people here you recognize. I'm here, and others. And we are gathering to do a collective work of healing. Take hands now, creating a strong circle of trust and of love. Some of you may have an energy modality that you'd like to practice now. That's fine. Some of you may want to pray or sing or chant or send love from your heart. That's fine. However you choose to join your collective light with us now, that's up to you. We are healing the earth. We are healing the people on it. We're asking for peace. We're asking for inclusivity, for acceptance. We're asking for the unconditional love of the universe to permeate the souls, the egos, the minds of everyone on our planet. We are asking that everyone start seeing each other as a soul that is equal, that matters, that is worth protecting, that is worth caring for, that is worthy of kindness and compassion. I will leave you now to do my work and allow you to do yours. Combining our powerful light now, moving mountains as we can. I honor your light and your willingness to join me today. You are powerful all on your own. When we join in a group like this, our power is immeasurable. Just a moment now to wrap it up. Very good. Powerful, powerful work. We will be breaking our circle soon. But before we do, I would like to invite you to join me in the circle song. Some of you probably already know it. I invite you to sing along with me. We'll sing it 3 times. You'll catch on quick. I am a circle. I am healing you. You are a circle. You are healing me. Unite us. We are one. Unite us. Be as one. I am a circle. I am healing you. You are a circle. You are healing me. Unite us. We are one. Unite us. Be as one. I am a circle. I am healing you. You are a circle. You are healing me. Unite us. Be as one. Unite us. We are one. Beautiful. Now I'll ask you to say your goodbyes. Breaking our circle now, knowing that we have created a powerful work today. I would like you to know that you can come back to this place anytime that you choose to receive healing, to give healing, to work on things that are tugging at your heart. This is your place. This is my place. This place belongs to all of us. In just a moment, I'm going to be counting forward from 1 to 5. As I do so, I would like you to walk back to the woods. Walk back down the path. You'll be getting lighter and lighter with every step that you take, and when I reach 5, you'll be wide awake and refreshed. You'll remember all of the work that we did together today. You'll remember how it felt. You'll remember how to come back, and you will remember how powerful you are. Walking now, back to the forest and back onto the path. 1, getting lighter. 2, lighter still. 3, much, much lighter. 4, and 5, wide awake and refreshed. Little stretch here, coming back into your body. It always takes just a little bit, just a little movement. It's a lot of out-of-body work. All right. If you have a drink in front of you, I recommend that you drink it because that also helps you to ground back in. I want to thank you all for doing that work with me, for joining me. That was a very powerful group. That felt amazing. And don't forget, you can go back there anytime you want. I will create a video file of just this as well so that you can come back and use it and do it anytime you want. But of course, you can also use this anytime that you need to, just from the live stream as well. So, okay. Well, it is also the week of the full moon, and we usually do our fairy tale tarot. I kicked around the idea of waiting for next week to do that since we had bigger fish to fry today, and I was guided away from that and felt like, no, we actually do need to do that. Today, we need that guidance for this week and moving into the full moon. So I already pulled the card. This is from the Fairy Tale Tarot deck, which is a lot of fun. So we always pull the cards. So I pulled the card before the show so that I didn't have to waste time looking for the story. The card is the Nine of Swords. Try and give you guys a really good look at it if you're in the live stream. There's a lot of swords. There is an old craggy tree. There is what looks to be like maybe, well, it's a person, but maybe it's like an elf or a fairy in the water. And there's water. I should have said that. Maybe this is a river or a stream. And there's birds in the distance. Let's find out what it's all about. So the story itself is the Moss Green Princess. The culture is African. The keywords are deception, illusions, and anxieties. Fitting. Let's see how this ties in. I'll read the story. I will give you my interpretation of why we need to know that right now and what we can take from it. But I always appreciate your comments in the chat room as well about what that meant to you. You know, it's good to catch everybody's interpretation of this kind of stuff so that we can collaborate on it, because you might have heard something that I didn't or caught something that I didn't. So I do really love to hear that. So let's collaborate on it. Okay. Here we go. Once upon a time, there was a princess named Katila. Her mother loved her dearly, but the king despised Katila's mother and took it upon himself to make his daughter's life miserable. Meanwhile, his other wife was the favored queen. His daughter, Mapindane, wore the finest garments and was lavished with assorted beaded necklaces. But despite the iniquity, there was no jealousy between Katila and Madipene. They spent all of their time together and loved each other dearly. Katila grew into a beautiful young woman. This so angered the king that he ordered his councilmen to retrieve the skin of a Naya Naya, Naya Bulumbu, a fairy beast whose name signified despised one covered with moss. It had long teeth and claws and was covered in moss. After several failed attempts to find the Bulembu, they finally lured one from a shimmering green pool. It followed them back to the kraal, the village corral, where it was speared and skinned. The king cruelly forced the skin over Katila and watched it adhere to her form. In the skin of a beast, her captivating beauty was lost beneath a shroud of moss. No longer was she an exquisite young woman of the village. Now she was despised, a despised creature for all to loathe. The king felt sure that he had sealed Katila's fate by turning her into a monster. If it wasn't for the love of her mother and her sister, she may have been banished altogether. One day, a swarm of birds swooped down and seized Medipene. They carried her to the sky and disappeared before anyone could stop them. Medipene was brought to the faraway village of a great king. There, she fell in love with the king and lived happily in her new royal home. But because of the distance, her parents did not know what became of their cherished daughter and presumed the birds must have dropped her to her death. The disappearance of Medipene spelled further heartache for Katila. Her father's devastation turned to wrath and hatred. His inflamed temper knew no bounds as he lashed out at his innocent daughter. Katila was made to do merciless hard labor from sunrise to sunset, her heavy monster skin weighing her down. Katila suffered and cried, but her mother reassured her that the skin she wore came from a fairy beast, foretelling a propitious future. It was only a matter of time before her fortunes would change. One day, Katila was out in the field. A fairy disguised as an old man gave her a magic stick, saying, "This stick will help you see your true form whenever you touch water." Of course, there was going to be a magic stick, right? And of course, birds carrying someone away to marry their kidnapper. Yep, good call, Belle. Katila thanked the old man, suspecting that there was a magic being. I'm sorry, suspecting that he was a magical being. She then went to a lake and slogged with her burdensome monster covering into the water. As she did so, her beastly cloak melted away. She could feel a lightness return to her human skin and was soothed by the cool water. Flying fairies coaxed her down to look at her reflection, where she saw her true form, that of a beautiful princess. She frolicked with the fairies until she had to return home. But as soon as she hit dry land, her Balembu form reappeared, stifling Katila with its unwieldy bulk. After that, Katila would sneak into the lake whenever she could. It wasn't long until the village children discovered her secret. They would watch from behind the bushes as she shed her monster skin and cavorted with the fairies. Of course she did. Who wouldn't be cavorting with fairies? But one day a prince came to town. He was in search of a special woman to be his wife. The children gathered around, claiming to know a woman who befriended fairies. The intrigued prince was taken to the hiding place, where the prince watched her transform from beast to beauty. He immediately fell in love with her, for he knew that only a special woman could possess such magical qualities. He ran back to the kraal and told the king, "I will marry your daughter, the monster." The king laughed, thinking it was a joke. But when the prince persisted, the king readily agreed, being glad to get rid of her once and for all. Katila escorted the prince back to his village, where everyone looked at his hideous betrothed with skepticism, but they dared not question his choice. On the morning of the wedding, Katila bathed in a pool and watched her Balumbu skin slide off for one last time. It rose into the air, traveled back to her old village, and landed on her mother's doorstep. Upon seeing the skin, her mother knew that the fairy magic had worked and her daughter would now be happy. Katila was radiant at her wedding. No longer was she the prisoner of the Balumbu skin. She lived many happy years with her prince and saw her new village prosper under the wise leadership of her husband. As for her father, he died a miserable old man, realizing that the daughter he despised was happy and believing the daughter he loved had died. So there you have it. from the author, Symbols and Meaning. The green cloak embodies Katila's connection with nature. The water is the unconscious, reflecting her true image on its surface. The fairies are divine messengers. The jewel encrusted swords symbolize karma and justice. The faces in the trees are guiding spirits and bridge the unconscious realm of water to the conscious plane on the surface. The flying birds are emblems of the free spirit. The sparkles in Katila's hair connect her with the shape-shifting magic that delivers her from her cumbersome curse. You may find yourself trapped in a pool of anxiety. True that, right? Okay. This was a good card to pull. I'm glad this was funny how cards work, right? Inner turmoil manifests as outer despair and contributes to multiple worries. Instead of hiding behind your fears and worries, you need to face them head on and look more closely at the truth of the matter. Okay, so what do we think about this story? There's a few things that come up for me. I loved it, by the way. Uh, the deception part of it, looking at the world that we're in right now, making sure that you are asking lots of questions, that you don't really take anything at face value, but you are brave enough and wise enough to ask questions. I think being willing right now to have a voice, to speak up, being willing to take a stand, being able and capable and willing to speak up and let people know what you think is important. I see a lot of people around me right now that are uncomfortable. They don't want to tell the world how they feel. They don't want to get in the pool and shed their skin and be authentic. They're afraid they're going to offend someone. They're afraid they're going to alienate someone. And so they speak not. I'm seeing a lot of it. I get it to some degree, I do. But at the same time, that's not leadership. We have to all take our place in leadership. We all have to be leaders. We have to be willing to have a voice to some degree, right? We have to be willing to have a few convictions. There's a saying that you have to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. It's a country song. It's also a saying from Letterkenny and lots of other things, I'm sure. But right now, that could not be more important. And I think that is part of what our story is telling us. I think being willing to face what we're worried about head on. I think sometimes using the collective energy to help us to face what we are dealing with head on and moving through it is important too. That's where it's at for me. The only other piece of it was that I had said earlier that I do feel like in order for us to come together in a better place in this world, we have to start seeing each other as souls. And I felt like when Katila was in the pool and the Balumbu skin melted off, we could see her soul. And that is what we need right now. We need to allow others to see us as we are. We need to see others as they are, see their souls. So that's where it's at for me. But I am more than happy to see and consider everyone else's thoughts on that story. I loved that one. Lillian said that's her favorite so far. Yeah, I really loved that one as well. Now, Belle did make a good point that, of course, you would just go out and marry your kidnapper. Of course, you would in a fairy tale, man. That is how it works. Okay. Just taking a quick look in the chat. Terry said, "This made me sad. It reminds me of Cinderella." Yeah, no kidding. That is a bit of a Cinderella story, isn't it? Having to clean and having to be ugly and not letting someone else outshine you. Good point. Okay. Well, there you have it. I liked that. All right. Sid had asked me to take a look at her dog, Elliot, today. Lots of chaos and tribulation in their home right now and just trying to get some things taken care of. So I am going to take a peek at the at Elliot and just make sure that he's okay. She feels like the energy of what's going on in her remodel situation in her house might be taking a toll on him. So let me take a peek. Okay, Sid, here's what I'm getting from Elliot. He's worried about you. He says that you are not sleeping or eating the way you should be. He said he's not afraid of the situation, however. More of his worry, though, is on you and how you're dealing with all of this. And so I'm just assuring him that you're okay and that you're going to be okay through this too. And so is he. I do feel like your efforts to reassure him and to help him understand what's happening have paid off. That has really helped, lessen his anxiety. I don't feel like this situation is going to head him back into another health crisis of his own. I don't. I feel like you've dealt with that stress with him really well. So, of course, we'll keep a close eye on him. And if he acts like he's having an issue, I know you'll do what you need to and take him to the vet. But I don't feel like, that the stress of this is heading him in that direction. So, yes, a good job on your part in helping him to deal with the stress that's happening. And also a lot of love for you, Sid, to be able to support and take care of yourself during this time too, because that's really where his concern and worry was at. Okay, Katie said, can you connect to my dog Chewy and see why he's wanting to fight with our other dog Dax? They are both neutered, so there shouldn't be aggression between them. Yeah, that's coming up really strong for me, Katie. Let me double check. It's hierarchy. Neutering definitely helps, but it's hierarchy. Chewy is really trying to keep Dax in his place. Chewy wants to be the boss, which is kind of funny because I feel like you have other animals in your house that are much more the boss than Chewy is, but he really wants Dax under him. So I'm going to talk to him about letting that go because it's causing stress for you and the girls. And he adores you guys, and I know he doesn't want that. So let me see if I can help him to lay his sword down here with Dax. Chewy's going to need some good one-on-one time with you and with the girls. He really thrives on that, but I am showing him that when he attacks Dax like that, it scares everybody. I'm also showing him the consequence would be that he finds a new home. Yeah, and he definitely does not want that. He wants to stay. So I'm asking him that at the very least to just ignore Dax, but that hierarchy doesn't matter in this home because you're the boss, you are in charge, and he doesn't need to worry about that. All right. He's willing to work on it. We'll see where he goes from there, but that's, I get to be the bad guy and let them, let him know what the consequence could be. Yeah. Okay. So I know I've missed some things in the chat that I can't see because it moves too fast. So I apologize for that. Linda, I wanted to I'm aware that you have lost your son recently, and I did want to address that and send some love to you. So uh, you were just looking for a message, I think, just some hope moving forward. What a gentle, gentle soul he was. So he's telling me that in his death, it has been just shattering to you. He said, for the support you've had from your community, you have also really missed out on some of the key people in your life being as supportive as you would have needed. He said you've been feeling quite lonely. He's a little frustrated that some people that he feels like should have stepped up for you haven't. He reaches out and he puts his hands around both of yours. He said, I love you, Mom, and I will always be here waiting for you. He said, keep talking to me. It helps. So he shows me that you've already been talking to him a lot, and he wants you to keep talking. He says he hears you. He's aware of you. He feels like it helps your loneliness and it helps him to feel closer to you as well. I am sure there will be more to come on that, but I want to send you my love and let you know that I'm aware of you guys and of your situation there. All right, my friends, we've done what we do. We've talked down to the end of the show. I want to thank you very much for being here. I want to thank you for joining me in healing today and in helping. I want to let you know you can find me over at One to Listen for the rest of the day and evening. If I can help you in any way, I will be there to do so. You have been listening to The Katie Weaver Show here on One Two Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.